Welcome to another episode of Soccer for Us. I am Bart, and on this episode, we are talking about a pretty triumphant group stage at the World Cup for the men's national team. Probably some of the best soccer we've ever seen the USMNT play ever in its time, certainly since Thomas and I have been alive. So let's talk about it. Like I just said, joining me here today is Thomas, aka US Keeper, aka the greatest historian on US Soccer Twitter. I mean, like, I know you got to go to some games. We'll get into that, but how have you felt watching the US play during this World Cup?
It's been a different experience for me, I will say. And what I mean by that is it's like the way they've just come out with this different level of energy, this different level of I don't want to say excellence because that's probably not a fair for them, but like just a different type of soccer than we've seen from this group. I think we've, mind you, take the opponents for what they are. They've done what they need to do, but it's enjoyable to watch. It's entertaining. It's what you want to see against opponents where you either are equally matched or you're better, and that's what you want to see, right? From that. So it's a much different because in the past we've had to grind out groups, grind it out like against teams that are against better teams and against other teams. And so I think when doing that, it's been a grind and it's very stressful for the players, the fans. Yeah, I think it's been a different experience, and I'm hoping it continues to be all these new things that we're seeing from the men's national team that we haven't seen before, because it is a nice place to be. There's a lot more buzz around the team. There's also around the World Cup in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, coming into this tournament, yes, we kind of wanted to be better than 2022. We obviously talked about that before the tournament. But I do think that there is a market difference between the way that this tournament has happened and the way that we played in the tournament, but just the tournament as a whole and how it's gone on between this edition and 1994. Now, I don't remember much about 94 because I was 5 years old, but especially when you look at the team, we barely took advantage of that home field advantage. I mean, if you're going to be real honest, right? Whereas the way this team is playing right now is so different and so much better than 94, but also they have been able to take advantage of the home field advantage. And especially in the two wins, and really all three games, but especially in those two wins, capitalize on the crowd energy and momentum and get out early and keep that going throughout the game. That has been the best part of what's been going on. And I think then you take that to, okay, that's allowed the fans to get engaged. It's provided some entertaining soccer for the fans to watch everywhere, but specifically for those watching the USMNT. That is what we wanted, right? I think that was when we talked about this. That's really all we wanted is, yeah, you got to win and you got to, make it out of the group and we'll see how it goes. But you wanted to create some entertaining moments and be something worth watching for a lot of these fans who didn't really pay attention to this team before the tournament to hopefully keep them engaged after the tournament. And I think that goal has been accomplished for the most part. We still have a couple games to go, hopefully, but that is the hopeful end result.
I would agree with that. I think the interesting thing is because it's an expanded tournament, as everyone knows. And I think for teams, it's helpful to have that extra rest. But the duration between matches is significant from a fan's perspective, right? Like, totally. And so, I mean, and maybe that allows the fans to get more rowdy in the anticipation of it because the fans have been unbelievable, right? Like they've come out, they've given them that home field advantage that we don't see all that often in 60, 70, 80,000, capacity stadiums in the United States. We just don't.
I will say we felt it. We didn't use it in Atlanta, but Atlanta had a pretty pro-US crowd, especially against Belgium. Definitely in Charlotte, not quite a full stadium. Chicago, great atmosphere. But you're right. We haven't really had that and weren't sure if we would have it at a World Cup. I mean, we knew there'd be a lot of US fans, but I mean, you just don't know because of the way that soccer works in this country. And that's been refreshing to see, right? I mean, a truly home supporting crowd is awesome. But it also has helped, I think. I mean, I know here in Atlanta, you see watch parties not just in the fan festival in Atlanta, but also, cities across the metro area having, I mean, every city with a town square basically is putting a screen up and saying, hey, come watch the game. Like that's what we want. And then you add on, oh, and they're kind of good. So people actually do want to watch this team. That's like all, I mean, really, it's all you could ask for. Hopefully they continue to take advantage of it. But it does feel like there is an actual engagement with the sport that seems different even from other World Cups. Most of these people are going to go away after this and not come back for another 4 years. I get it. That's fine. It's like me with Olympic hockey. Let's be real honest. I'm not that engaged in international hockey, except for when the U.S. plays Canada on occasion, but you still want people to be engaged. I mean, that doesn't mean I don't watch the NHL. I still do. Right. And that's kind of, we just want people to be a little more, if not curious, a little more like, oh yeah, MLS playoffs are going on. Let's watch that type of stuff. That's the hope, is that it just builds a little bit. And again, we don't know how this is going to be until after the tournament, but they're doing the things we want them to do.
Yeah, they definitely set the table, and so now they need to, they need to go ahead and continue that into the knockout stage, and I think that's going to be, I think it's going to be important because you can't flame out at this point. You've done things you haven't done before, and I think that those things are important for the growth of the diehards, continuing for the growth of the program, because again. Those things are things we just haven't seen. I mean, I've been watching for a long time, and there's just things I haven't seen, which is unbelievable to see them, and it's exciting to see them. And like, these are the things we've wanted to see, and so I'm thirsting for this to just continue, and because there's nothing like yesterday was a good example. The first knockout stage, right, had one match. It was. So like a
little bit of a stinker.
The match itself was bad, but there was only one match for the day. Like that was like a gut punch for me. Like, and then when as the tournament goes on, obviously there's fewer matches, but like that was not great. And so
I absolutely, by the way, would have had just a full day's break in between the knockout and the group stage and just put that game today, which we're recording on Monday. Put 4 games on the first day of the knockouts, and it's just like, hey, this is fun. But what do I know? I'm not a tournament scheduler.
Yeah, and it's harder with the third play. I mean, things don't line up. I think that's the challenge, and part of the reason why there's talk about expansion, because it's not a smooth transition of like this team here, this from a planning purposes perspective, and I get that.
Well, you mentioned a lot about setting the table and things the U.S. did, so let's do that. The U.S. is through to the knockout rounds after winning Group D with a record of 2 wins, 1 loss, no ties, which been a while since we've had a World Cup without a tie, by the way. 6 points, a +4 goal differential, 8 scored, 4 conceded. 3 of those in one match that we'll get to it did not mean a whole lot. And I think that's, for me, the biggest takeaway is when you just look at the high level stats, you go, dang, this is, again, we have a couple matches to play, but this is the best World Cup we've had, certainly from a group stage perspective. I mean, we haven't won 2 matches in a group stage ever. And when you consider that we've also scored 8 total goals, at least 2 in each game, I mean, that alone, these are impressive feats that this team has achieved. And I had this thought today. I'm hoping you agree with it, is that this team, these players have been billed as the golden generation. Now, I don't love that moniker, but essentially that means this is the best generation of players we've had in a long time, if not maybe ever. They're looking and playing like they're the actual best generation we've had. Finally.
Yeah, I mean, some of the players are for sure. I mean, you look at the way Pulisic is playing. I mean, he has an energy, he has a speed, he has a pace. He wants to be out there. I know he's had limited time. McKennie, Dest. I mean, a lot of these players that are being put in the positions to succeed on the field are playing at the levels that we need them to play at, and to allow this group to do the things that we all hope and expect for them to do, right? And so it is coming together. I mean, we obviously have gaps in the roster, as we've talked about, and we've seen some of those gaps, but I think you can overcome some of that with your certain type of gameplay and certain types of luck or whatever it is along the way. But it is coming together. I think the great thing is that even next cycle, you're going to still have a lot of these players should still be here and still in their prime, right? Because this is they're now just kind of getting into their prime, and they'll still be in their prime at the next one for many of those players. And you kind of have a couple shots at it, right? And so it's exciting to watch because they're playing a type of soccer that's fun to watch. They're creating things, they're just doing different things in general. And I just want more. I just want more of it. And I want more of it in this tournament. Right. And I mean, that's what, like, I'm really not trying to get overly excited because until we get to a certain point, I'm like, okay, now, like, I don't know. I don't want to take our next opponent for any sort of in granted, because there's no guarantees in this. I mean, we're watching a match right now go on. That's, the better team is not, doing the things they need to do to be ahead. And so you can't have the letdown. You can't have it. And I don't think they will. I actually think the loss to Turkey is, in the duration they had between that and in the knockout stage match, I think it's enough for the team to say, okay, it stunk. It happened literally right at the end of, extra time. And to recover from that, most of the starters weren't playing at all.
Yeah.
And I think, you have to put that into perspective with that. And I think it actually creates a motivation for this group to want it more. And they've come out hard, and they've been playing hard and fast, and they've been doing the things early in these matches to kind of set the tone.
Yeah. Early goals in every match, right? I think the latest opening goal we had was in the 11th minute when Australia scored that own goal. But we had a 4-1 win over Paraguay, a 2-0 win over Australia, and as you mentioned, a 3-2 loss to Turkey. But to me, that's been the theme, is early and quick starts. You got the own goal from – you forced an own goal. I don't want to say you got an own goal, because all the own goals were forced. Forced an own goal in the 7th minute, then forced one in the 11th in the second game, and created one of your own in like the 3rd minute, and the loss to Turkey, which again, we'll get into that a little deeper, but still looked good in that loss, minus, the defending, which hopefully we just don't see those guys defend much anymore. But all 3 of these matches featured really hot starts. And in fact, even in the Turkey match, you had a very fast start to the second half when you went into halftime down a goal. That, to me, has been the theme for the U.S. And again, it goes back to capitalizing on the energy. But luckily, for the most part, we haven't really seen let-offs from those initial bursts of energy.
Yeah, I mean, I sadly, I kind of expected a letdown with pretty much the full roster flip over for the.
I mean,
game.
There was a letdown in quality. I do not think there was a letdown necessarily in the try hard and the want to.
Oh, correct. Yeah. The team is definitely. I mean, they're fighting. I mean, every player knew that maybe their only chance to play. I mean, it's a very unique situation to have won the group going into that 3rd match and to say, hey, you get to play, because we've never seen that. Yeah. Right. It's always worth battling that last match, right, to do this, or we're eliminated like in '98. You know what I mean? And you're just throwing a bunch of guys in there to give them a chance.
Yeah. I do want to point out, obviously, this World Cup they have instituted that the first tiebreaker is head-to-head competition if you're tied with the team. So the reason we had clinched the group going into the final match day was because we beat Australia, and because then Turkey did not win their second match. Because of that, we had 6 points and beat the only two teams that could tie us on points. But we, at that point in time, had a +5 goal differential. And Australia had at that point in time, a 0 goal differential, and Paraguay had a -2 goal differential. So while previous editions of the tournament, we may not have been locked, I think it would have been fair to say that we probably would have had, we had advancement locked up. We probably would have had the group locked up, even under the old-ish rules. So that is also important, I think, because it just shows how locked in this team was the first two matches, where you did not have to put your starters out there. And even if, you put some of them out there, I think the big thing was you got to rest Christian Pulisic again. And the guys on yellow cards, you didn't have to play them in a game that didn't fully matter. Now, had the old rules still been out there, would Poch maybe have rotated those guys on yellow cards? Maybe. I don't know. But the fact that we were able to do it, I think, is really good. Let's start talking about a little bit about the games, though, individually. We start off with, like I said, a 4-1 win over Paraguay. Now, Thomas, I think when we were going into this, we felt Paraguay would be the easiest of the three teams, but in no way, shape, or form did we expect it to be this type of match where we were just completely dominant. I think we expected us to dominate possession, but how many times have we seen a U.S. team, quote, dominate possession and not score or get one lucky goal, right? This was a team that not only dominated possession and the attacking stats, but also capitalized on that possession and actually put the other team under pressure and put goals in the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of pressure they had. I mean, they're running this kind of a high press, try to get them to turn the ball over on their own end type of attack on this, and it's creating a lot of chances for the U.S. and just really being disruptive. Yeah, it's, again, I have to give the team credit, the coaching staff credit. It's very smart way to play against teams of this nature, right? To put that, I don't know what it's going to look like against a top tier team, but but it was definitely effective against Paraguay. And they, again, that the first goal, I think you mentioned earlier, was, even though it was an own goal, it was an own goal that we generated. Like it was not like a stupid own goal. It was like it's the pressure, all that sort of thing created that opportunity in there. And so if they don't score, they clearly were gunning to score. So
that lineup that started the game for us: Matt Freese in goal, Alex Freeman, Chris Richards, Tim Ream, and Jedi Robinson from right to left. You can say it was a 4-back system. I'll not argue too much with you, but I think we will get into it. But there's an obvious balance of the way that this team attacks. Midfield was Tyler Adams as the deep lying midfielder, Weston McKennie and Malik Tillman in front of him. And then the attacking three were Sujino Das on the right, Flair and Balogun in the center, and Christian Pulisic on the left. Now, again, the balance of attack was Dest and Jedi, for the most part, provided the full width. So they were the ones on the touchline for the most part. Pulisic, obviously, being that left winger-ish, did a lot of that. But that kind of put us in a position where we had three center backs. But because of the way we were able to pressure Paraguay and the way we were able to control the ball in their half, Freeman was still able to get forward a lot. And I think that was just a kind of that wrinkle that, while you want that and you want to be able to put a team, lock them into their own half, which we did a lot against Paraguay, excuse me. I think Freeman getting involved in a lot of this just, again, put Paraguay under so much pressure. And I've been really impressed with him. But in this game specifically, it just kind of like gave us that extra man to keep things moving, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he definitely added another element on that in terms of how they push up. Because again, the formation is very dynamic. It's probably the most dynamic that we've seen from a men's national team, maybe ever. And in doing that again, it's a very effective against teams of this caliber that we're playing against in this group, and that we'll be playing against Bosnia as well. And I think it's effective against that. Again, where I get concerned is where you play better top tier teams, and again, they're going to have to recover more defensively, and I think that's where hopefully the coaching staff figures that out. But Freeman was, I mean, he's really impressed. I mean, he's won me over for sure.
Absolutely.
For a player that came in and kind of just was given the spot and had a lot of question marks, he's really matured in a very short period of time. So I'm happy to see that too, because I mean, we want to see players mature quickly and be able to find their role and their spot within these teams. 21-year-old in Freeman doing that right now for the U.S.
Pulisic, we have to talk about him. He comes out at halftime of this match for precautionary measures, which end up being a little bit more than precautionary. I feel like is safe to say. That seems like it was an injury that was more nagging that kind of got re-aggravated in that game because he got kicked. But he gets an assist on Balogun's first goal, our second of the game. And while it is more of a product of great team passing, it is an example of how dangerous Christian Pulisic can be, because when he can get running at a back line, that's when he's most dangerous. And in this one, he's able to find a cutback, Balogun with a great finish. But Pulisic, even in only, 70 minutes and maybe in this group stage, showed that he is by far our best player, and showed how important he is to our goal scoring potential.
Yeah, he had that, I don't know, just the next year we've seen a lot with AC Milan.
That we haven't seen a lot recently.
Right.
Because you're right. Saw that a lot with AC Milan in the beginning of the year, and then it went away.
And the two previous seasons, he had that extra year, and he has it, right? And so his, his injury there that sidelined him, but he's got it, and we're going to need him to be able to do those things. He really attacked 1v1 a lot and created a lot of disruption in that match, and then even against Turkey, where he played about 30 minutes as well. So I think it's why he's so special, and I think he's changed as a player because he doesn't have to necessarily score the goals now, where he's got other options out there where he can distribute to as well in Balogun and McKennie and Dest and a few other folks that he can get the ball to. He's kind of maturing a little bit more in that manner, and kind of, if you look at Landon Donovan's career, he was scored more at the front end of it than the back end of it. Yeah. He assisted more towards the end of of his national team career, second half of it. And we're starting to see a little bit with Pulisic, and hopefully he can find the net again, because that would be nice too. But yeah, he's a game changer out there. But we do have the depth where we didn't need to roll him out there for the second match.
Flair and Balogun, 2 goals in this game. The first one, like I said, finishing off Christian Pulisic's cutback cross. The second goal, though, man, he gets a great pass from Tillman. Do not get me wrong, but that was something that he set up, not just by his run and his positioning, but then after he gets the ball, dribbling toward goal, beating a couple of defenders, and the finish was sublime. That is why when we were talking about this team being better than 2022, it was very clearly because our strikers are so much better, and it really is. Flo Balogun is just he is an elite difference maker for this team. Maybe not elite overall, but for this team and in this program, we haven't seen a guy like him since Altidore, and I'm going to just go out on a limb and say I think Balogun will prove to be a better overall striker than Josie Altidore when it's all said and done. But like, he just gives us so much variety and potential in attack.
Yeah, Balogun is shown to be able to do it on a bigger stage. Altidore, if you really break his goals down, there's some good ones in there, don't get me wrong, but on the biggest
I mean,
stage,
look, the goal he scores against Spain in that Confederation.
Oh
Cup
yeah, I mean,
final
yeah.
I mean, we haven't, yeah.
But I mean, in general, like I don't think he scored in a World Cup. He only played in one, but Balogun gives you that. He's that striker we've been looking for. It's what we wanted Josh Sargent to be, right? You know, all these years, right? And it's difference, you know what I mean? And he's grown too from 2 years ago at Copa America. He's gotten that much better, and he's in good form right now. And in both of these matches, he did a lot of great things to help the U.S. by not even scoring. And I think that's the key too, right? Your strikers' job to score, but sometimes, if they can't, they're just disruptive as well. So
I have to ask, because I was at an outdoor watch party with one of my very good friends who travel a lot with, and he and I were just overcome with disbelief after we were up 2-0 so early on. And he says to me, wouldn't it be great if we could get a third goal before halftime? Because we were still putting so much pressure on them, right? We get a third goal before halftime. I mean, what? I haven't felt like that wearing the U.S. shirt in a very long time, being that just like overcome with actual joy. What were you feeling? What was going through your head as, 45 plus 5, Balogun slams that ball in the top corner. Like, what was going through your mind?
I mean, I watched a lot of U.S. soccer in my time. It's the rarity of a 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 halftime lead. It just doesn't exist very often, right? Like,
you don't even get this a lot of times in a Gold Cup against a bad team. It takes forever to kind of get things going, you know?
Right. I mean, I in the history, I just pulled it up. In the history of U.S. soccer, of either a halftime score of 3 or more goals has only happened 35 times in their, over 900 matches, right? Like, or whatever. Not over 800. Excuse me, over 800 matches. That's not a lot, right? In that many matches to have that, right? And if you look at some of the team names, you see Trinidad and Tobago come up here more times than I'd like Cuba multiple times, right? Like, these are small, countries that you should be doing that to. You don't see a Paraguay. I mean, I'm not even sure that, it's, I don't know. Like, I was a little bit like taken back by it because I was like, what's going on here? Like, I mean, I was thinking the same thing. If we could get a third, like, it just allows you as a fan to just be able to like watch the game differently, right? It allows me to watch the game like I'm just a general fan on a match that I just want to see a good match. Yeah, I mean, it was great. It was great, and it's the stress level is gonna continue to grow now, but I enjoyed it. I mean, I really did. I mean, it's something we don't see very often.
Paraguay do get a goal back in the 73rd minute after a pretty decent period of having better play. I would not say that they were in control of the match at any point, but they were a little bit more in control of themselves, is probably the better way to put it. They do get a goal. And even then you're going, man, 3-1. This is great. Take the +2 goal differential. You go into Australia knowing what what you need. And then Gio scores the 4th with an amazing goal that, I mean, Paraguay just let him have it, by the way. I'm not taking anything away from Gio's finishing here, but it was just like pass. I mean, 20-some passes, I think. And then Gio's running at the back line, and it's just like they keep giving him space, and he says, okay, thank you. and side foots it into the back of the net. I mean, a fantastic Travella goal. 4-1 final. And at that point, it does look, game one, it's hard to be, you don't want to overreact. You can overreact to the performance or be happy about the performance, I should say. But I kind of overreacted to internally going, that just won the group. And I know that was a little bit of a crazy thing to say. But when you consider what we felt like the Turkey game was going to be, obviously it didn't play out that way for a lot of reasons. Having a +3 goal differential was huge, especially when you're talking about a Paraguay team that doesn't like to give up goals and an Australia team that doesn't like to give up goals. I just felt very confident. That was like, oh man, this is going to win us the group.
It's a great start. I mean, you'd have to go back, and even that was only a 1 goal differential to 0-2 when they beat Portugal, which is a huge upset, mind you. That's a completely different level, right? For them to do that against Portugal was huge, but it made you feel good about it, right? It's like, okay, we're doing this the right way. I don't think I jumped to that conclusion quite yet, because Turkey obviously loses to Australia, and then
maybe once I saw them lose to Australia, I was like, oh, this is ours. But after the game, I just felt like I definitely felt we were in the driver's seat. Maybe that's the way I felt.
Yeah, I would say I would agree with that. The driver's seat, I felt good about it, but the Turkey game was interesting because they dominated a lot of that game. They lost 2-0 to Australia, and
sure,
it was like, oh, Australia's gonna, they're no joke, and they're not a joke team to take for granted. But I'm also thinking, Turkey's no joke either. Like they dominated like that match, and so I'm thinking we're gonna see some crazy like group battle where you have like 3 teams with 6 points or something, right? Like, because it could have gone that way.
Yeah. So, yes, we come into the second game against Australia. We know that Australia has defeated Turkey 2-0, Turkey 2-0, which means that they right now are second in the group. Maybe not how we expected it, but I think to me that was even better because you knew what the formula was. You beat Australia, man. Yeah. We didn't know at that point in time, like, okay, well, we knew that Turkey and Paraguay result would have to help. But like, you just knew that if you beat Australia, the other team that had got 3 points on the first match day, man, that really was going to set you up to be probably the group winners. And there was a lot of back and forth apparently between the teams, or at least maybe not back and forth, a lot of talk from one end coming toward the other about how much this match was going to mean and why it was the most important match that's ever been played ever in the history of soccer by any country that's ever played soccer. And it turned out that the U.S. was the one that came out most motivated and ready to play soccer in a high-flying, attacking manner. And while, yes, Australia isn't that type of a team, they were not prepared for us, it seemed. And I mean that sincerely. The amount of times we had Australia running toward their goal, which is like the complete opposite of the point of parking the bus. They were uncomfortable from almost the get-go. And to me, that was another sign that this team is operating on another level that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. I was expecting Australia to definitely, give us a lot of the ball, which they did. But the U.S. really just, again, they just came out in a different gear. I mean, I think that's been the key to this, right? Even the Turkey game, we'll get to that, but like they're coming out at a different gear. They're coming out at a different mentality. I mean, they are at a focus level that we haven't seen maybe ever with this group for sure. That has really stood out to me, and they're locked in. I mean, they're locked in a way that they need to be to make a deep run here, and they're just doing the right things, and those right things are resulting in, I don't want to say luck, but the own goals are not luck, but they're definitely, sometimes those don't go your way.
Yeah.
And And that sets the pace. I mean, the first 2 games, you start the game with 2 own goals. And trust me, the U.S., put the pressure on that to create that. So there's, they deserve that. It's no joke of the pressure they were putting in to result in that. But I think, that's just, it's a testament of, what they're doing.
What kind of really made me go, wow, this team is putting this team under pressure was the fact that, Burgess had to make this play. The only option he had was hope that he gets a foot on it and it doesn't go in the goal. Like, to your point, this wasn't a near post, like, oh, let me get a foot on it and knock it out of play. When he touches the ball, he's a good 2 to 3 yards inside of his goal mouth. You know what I'm saying? And inside his penalty area, like right at the 6. He has to make a play because if not, Pepe's there for a tap in, basically. And so while it doesn't go down in the XG column because we didn't create an expected goal out of it, you looked at it and you go, man, that was such a great cutback, a great cross from Balogun to put a ball where the defender had no choice. It was either hope that it just doesn't go into the back of the net, but where he makes contact with that ball, he's already he's in a better position than most strikers could be in. And I think that again is to your point of creating these own goals. That was a truly almost unavoidable own goal from Australia. And, love that it happens from Cam Burgess, who is the one who was talking so much crap before the game. But it was just so different to see us forcing a team into mistakes like this. Because usually that's not how this works.
Yeah, that's the thing. So hopefully more of that to come for the U.S. to be on the right side of that.
I think it's important to note that we do finish out the game with the clean sheet. Australia didn't really create much of anything. They created about a third of an expected goal. 2 shots on target, 5 total. Yeah, they had 1 or 2 moments that were scary, but at the end of the day, I was there for it. And so, yes, there's some tension, but even in that second half, we had the bulk of possession. We created chances. We held the ball when we needed to. There wasn't the tension in the air that there normally is with a U.S. game. And that alone is saying something in a World Cup match.
Yeah, that's a good, again, another good spot to be in, for the U.S. As a fan, as the players, just to be able to kind of have things in hand. You're right. There wasn't, Freeze actually got some saves in this, which I hopefully will get him to loosen up.
Oh, wait. We got to talk about this. Sorry, that reminded me. John Strong in the first game saying that hopefully Matt Freeze has to make a save or some bullshit because, you want him to be tested or sharp. What? No, I don't want my goalkeeper making a save ever.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a little narrative there that's they're forcing on this situation because, but I guess whatever they have to do to get the players to feel good about themselves. I don't know.
That was crazy to me. But yeah, so Freeze does make a couple saves. None of them I would categorize as strenuous, Thomas. I think that's fair to say. They were, one was pretty routine. The other was just, he made a save.
Yeah, nothing. One's you absolutely have to make. There's nothing overly challenging.
Which I think is another thing that as we get into the Turkey game, so we win that one 2-0. We've given up a goal. That goal was a bad goal. I think the Paraguay goal was a lot of defensive errors and just kind of a little bit of we kind of turned off for a moment. But other than that, we hadn't really conceded a lot of big chances. And so you go into the Turkey game. At this point, we know we've won the group because Turkey did not beat Paraguay. So we know that we're at 6 points. We know we've beaten the only 2 teams that can get to 6 points. And at this point in time, we have a +5 goal differential, which, again, even in the olden days, would have meant something. So we go into this game. knowing we can kind of rotate a little bit. Now, we did rotate a tad bit for the Australia match because obviously Pulisic did not play. He was out with a calf injury of sorts. And because of that, we started Pepe and Balogun. Balogun kind of playing on the left side, Pepe in the center. A little bit different than what we had the first game, but effectively the same type of formation. We come into this game, Pulisic is out. We know that much. We had 4 guys who had picked up yellow cards in the first 2 games. Pochettino just says, screw it, we're rotating the whole squad to the point of like even Matt Turner gets a start. When you saw that lineup, were you okay with the full squad rotation? I mean, McKennie started and Pepe started. Those are the only 2 guys who started in Australia. Because I was a little not okay with the full rotation, if you're asking me.
I wasn't a huge fan of it because I think I look at it this way. The way I thought Matt Freedy should play because he needs the experience. You all these different things and you don't play him. That's weird to me. However, with the defense you rolled out there, I then don't start him because you gotta have a confidence level in him, right? Like if he's working with the back line and he's gonna be working with that he has been working with and he's gonna work with in the knockout stage, then I think you keep him in there. But you have to be careful of burying a guy because I mean Turner kind of got left dry a few times out there as well with that defense, and you want to have a good mindset heading into the knockout stage. You're already guaranteed, so it's that weird balance between that. I would have liked to have seen the back line kind of do that, mix in a few. For me, it was pretty much the back line. Like I would have wanted to see that. I thought moving Weah to the left side was so stupid. He was so
that was the only like legit problem with this lineup. I think is that
he was so lost out there.
It not only hurt Weah, but it also was just like the opposite of the way the team had been attacking the whole time because we had before this our left back, so our left fullback, Jedi Robinson, for the most part, was the one providing the width and the height, if you will, stretching that defense. And Weah was an actual winger because our back 4, if I'll run through that, we had Turner in goal. Our back 4 was Joe Scally, Miles Robinson, Mark McKenzie, and then on the left, we had Austin Trusty. I'm going to make a point about this in a little bit too. So Trusty was the left back playing left center back, right? The whole morphing into the 3-back formation. Well, that meant Scally was your get forward fullback, which is not his best real role, I will say. And that meant Weah was the width provider on the left because that's how you were attacking with the left side. And again, it just kind of threw off the balance of how we had attacked all, before that. And I'm with you. I don't like it. Weah's not great on the left side. I think we've seen that enough. I don't know. Midfield was, as you mentioned, a lot of turnover. You had McKennie still in there. Berhalter starts as well. And then Reyna is the attacking mid, if you will. But Reyna and McKennie are your 2 attacking mids. And then up top, you had Pepe, again, the holdover. Mainly just, I guess he didn't want to start right. I'm not mad at it. I don't think Pepe had a good game, but I can reason away why. You had Tim Weah on the left and Brendan Aronson on the right. I'm going to try to say some nice things first, and then I'll let you be mean if you want to. I don't think anyone had outside of the 2 center backs. I don't think anyone had a bad game. I do think Berhalter, in his defense, is not a true 6. So I don't like playing him there as a lone 6. I don't think that's his actual role. When you watch him play for Vancouver, he is an 8. But why we're playing him as an actual defensive midfielder when we frickin' left guys off the roster who are actual defensive midfielders, by the way. Just saying. That didn't make sense to me. But I don't think anyone had a bad game outside of Weah, really. Center backs were trash. Weah had a bad game. Pepe had a tough game, but his job was to be kicked and pulled and wrestled to the ground because almost every single time a Turkish defender was on him, they had both arms and 2 feet wrapped around him. I thought Brendo was okay. I just think the problem was all together they weren't clicking. If that's just what I saw.
Yeah, and I think that, and this is one of the products we talk about, like when we're preparing for these friendlies and we're preparing for, heading into World Cups months and months ahead of time. This group never played together, like at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's, what combination of this group ever played together? And I'm not, I mean, they're professionals. I get it. You definitely put players in positions where it's not their primary position, AKA Jurgen Klinsmann. But
yeah,
right. So you got to be careful with that a little bit. Like, again, I think the wholesale changes impacted that. And so again, who knows why Arfston didn't play? I mean, like, not that
I have an issue with this. I only because this was the game for him to play, especially again when you looked at the way we were playing, where Jedi was your get forward fullback. That's what Arfston does really well. Like I'm not even trying to joke. Like if you wanted him to get minutes, having him be the dude that says, "Hey, get forward," and you could have put Gio and or Brendo on that left side with him to be the one who plays inside the field a little bit more. If you don't trust him to play in a game that doesn't matter in a position that suits him best, why did you bring him?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it maybe he just, I don't know. I'm not gonna speculate on that, but it is an odd sort of thing in general, because I mean, I think there were some players that I'm kind of surprised saw minutes. Like, I mean, I didn't expect Zendejas to play in this tournament, even in a game like this.
Yeah, and I'm glad he did. Right? Like, it was like, hey,
I'm glad he did too. I mean, I certainly didn't want to see Miles Robinson play. And Mark McKenzie. I mean, just I don't know. The back line was just garbage. In general, Trusty looked great. I thought
Trusty did look good. We got to say that he looked like a bit of a grown-up out there.
He did. He definitely found a different thing. Unfortunately, he does get injured in this game with an ankle injury. That sounds like he's probably not available for the first knockout match.
I forget what the latest report was, but he and Roldan were still dealing with injuries the last I saw, which I think was this morning.
Yeah, and I think McKenzie also is dealing with I can't remember what they defined it as, irritation or something. So
I'm with you. It was good to see some of these guys get some minutes that weren't, like, again, Zendejas, great, good for you. Glad you got minutes. Even to an extent, sounds mean, Joe Scally, just because the way things have been shaking out, like, he probably wasn't going to be someone who needed to play. Glad he got, and I don't think he was particularly bad. Again, glad he got to play. I would have started Haji Wright personally, as if we're truly doing this, to be like, hey, here you go, kid, get some minutes. But again, I don't think Pepe Wright, that wouldn't have made a difference.
I think if you start Haji, right, you're going to be putting, you put him more Weah, right, and maybe Weah starts on the right side instead of Aronson, or maybe
Thomas, you're onto something, because when we played against Australia, right, we had a 2-striker formation and they were kind of moving left and right, or left and central.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have done that with Weah on the right, and you could have put Pepe, but then you don't want to leave, not having a striker on the bench, I guess. But, like, I don't know, you could have played Balogun for 20 minutes if needed. That's actually probably what we should have done, is played Wright and Pepe up there and said, all right, boys, go have fun.
Yeah. I mean, because Weah's crosses, I mean, what Weah does great on that right side is he delivers the ball to the box.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
I don't want to spend too much time on it. Look, we get an early goal 3 minutes in, after we had knocked on the door a couple times, to be quite honest. I mean, literally, we get a corner kick, almost score from that. Then we get another corner kick. Got to give Sebastian Berhalter his due. Great set pieces, as we knew he could do. This ball I don't think Trusty could have asked for a ball to be dropped in his lap any better. It takes a first touch, good first touch, slams it home. And at that point, I'm going, holy shit, we might get a 9-point group stage.
Yeah, I mean they came out with the energy, like again, mind you, against Turkey's better team, right? The Turkey's out there, they want to play and they want to show because they, as Lawrence would put it, showed their ass, in the first two matches, and they wanted to come out there and put their best team out there, and the U.S. comes out and plays pretty well early in that match, and you figure, and they had chances. They had multiple chances. They could have been up 2-0 early, and they just, yeah.
Unfortunately, Turkey, let's be honest, a little bit of a glitch that they had taken 62 shots this tournament and hadn't scored. that is. I'm not saying they should have won any of the games they had played prior to this, but the fact they hadn't scored was a little bit of a crazy stat. And they finally get one, then they get a second, and I'm going, oh crap, they're going to finally wake up in a game that doesn't matter. And now there's going to be talking points. But although we go into the half down 2-1, we get an early goal in the second half, which again is like, that is promising to me. And then Berhalter, great finish. Got to give him credit. Go the whole second half. Maybe this is my USA red, white, and blue color glasses, so check me on it if I'm wrong, Thomas. I felt like we played good enough to win by a couple goals in the second half and just didn't.
I don't think you're too far off on that. I thought they had, I thought we had more of the, I don't think we had more of the ball, but we had more balance. I think we certainly had a lot more goal scoring opportunities. I mean, there's no question.
Yeah.
We definitely outshot them in that second half. I just couldn't find, the back of the net, for that third goal. And I think that third goal puts it away right at that point. I think at that point they'll be deflated. There's nothing left from them if you could find the back of net on that third, and you would seal it 3-2 for the U.S. favor. But unfortunately, they weren't able to find it.
They had a higher XG. This game was pretty good for both teams on the XG standpoint. But we had more shots on target, more touches in the box, more passes completed. Like, yes, they created technically more big chances. But again, I don't know, man. Keeper had a couple good saves, hit the crossbar and the post once in each. Like, it's hard for me to look at this 3-2 loss and go, dang, Turkey beat us, and that's sad, because Turkey was playing their best players, right? They were bound and determined to get something out of this World Cup. We had obviously rotated heavily, and I felt like for the most part, we outplayed Turkey through many stretches of the game. I think we let the first half get away from us, but with our backups especially, I thought we hung tough with a team that is pretty darn good.
Yeah, we did. I mean, and I think that's a good sign in terms of some of the depth that we do have on this roster that we maybe have not had in the past, right? I'm not saying this depth is crazy, but when you look at the roster and you say, okay, who started the match, right? You've got Pepe, who could be a starter. Aronson could start in a pinch. Obviously, Reina, Weah, Trusty. Those players could start in a pinch. I mean, Berhalter, I don't think is a starter. So I think for as well as he did in this match, he definitely gave the ball away many times in dangerous spots that created, attacking opportunities for Turkey. But again, I think these players can come in and play their role and help this team if they're called upon.
And that's what I learned. Look, Trusty, like you said, played well comparatively. I thought Gio showed he's good when we need him to be. I don't think Brendo was bad. I think relying on Brendo to be an offensive creative genius is probably not the best route to take, but whatever. Pepe had a rough game, but again, I think that was just the way that this game was played. I'm not putting a whole lot on or off of him. I thought, while he did not have a great statistically good game or look good on the, it was a rough game for him. Again, Turkey seemed to just get away with tackling him to the ground any which way they wanted to. Yes, we lose the final game of the group stage. We can't go to Mexico with a trash group and win all 3 games. Sorry. But we win the group. And to be fair, Australia and Paraguay tied, so it was a moot point anyway because they couldn't get the job done to even challenge us in theory for, oh well, we could have tied them on goal differential for some random reason. No, they drew, and so we won the group, won 6 points, and now we're into the knockout rounds. So I don't want to like preview Bosnia-Herzegovina. I do just want to like, I think it's fair to say they're a pretty good team. They obviously got here by beating Italy. They have an American on the team that I know you know and love. And they're a team that should look, as the bold, brash American, I go, it's just Bosnia. We're fine. But it's Bosnia and Herzegovina. So it's two countries. And we got to be careful of that because we've seen how we do against Trinidad and Tobago. There's my dad joke for the.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. Yeah. I mean, look, we just watched a match, okay, against a team that wasn't very good that we beat 4-1, beat Germany in PKs, no spoilers, right? Right. So anything can happen, right? Especially in these early parts of the knockout stage, right? Like and I think, you know what I mean? Like you can't take it for granted. I don't think the U.S. is going to take it for granted, but you definitely have to come out with the same level of energy and passion that you have in all three of the matches. And you have to kind of, leave nothing to chance and get those early leads and do those things that matter up front. I know it's kind of cliche, but it's true, and we've seen the impacts of that so far.
It's not cliche when we've done it 3 games in a row, and I think that's kind of the key here. Is to your point, do it again,
right? Because I mean, you're going to have to do it again multiple times if you're going to make a deep run, right? And I think that's going to be the key for this team to do that. And again, I think anything can happen in this tournament. I think we've seen that. I mean, with other tournaments, and
absolutely,
you just take it one match at a time, and I know again that's very by the playbook, but that's all you can do, right? And you can't look ahead from anything because I mean you don't even know what ahead is, right? Like you know enough to know what it could be, but like why would you want to go there until you get there, right? And I think the U.S. has been focused enough in this tournament to feel like they're not going to do that. They're going to take the match that's ahead of them, and they're going to go do what they need to do, get the result they need to continue moving forward.
The U.S. will be on 6 days of rest, Thursday to Wednesday. Bosnia does have a full week off. I don't think that matters in the long run, especially when you consider how much we rested most of our starters. Bosnia did need a result, needed to win actually that last match against Qatar. So, they had to go all out. If we win, I'm going to look ahead slightly. If we win, we will be playing the winner of the Belgium-Senegal match on Monday, July 6th. So a little bit quicker of a turnaround. That match is being played in Seattle. The Senegal-Belgium match is also in Seattle. So that is a slight thing to think about if we get that far, that they won't have to travel the way that we will. Now, granted, Santa Clara to Seattle is not exactly a long and arduous trip, but regardless, that is something to consider. But yeah, I don't want to look too much beyond that because things, take it one step at a time. You win this, you play in Seattle on the 6th. You got to win this one first. And to your point, you got to score early. I think if you do that, we're talking again and watching the team play on the 6th.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, to me, like, that's why this tournament, I love it so much. But when your team's not in it, like, it's definitely like, or the gap, just again, the duration of the games has been a lot. This is long.
It's been nice.
Yeah, it has. It really, I mean, and I want to be clear, it has been nice to be able to kind of like enjoy it and not have it, another game already. Like, it's been a nice, 17, 18 days so far. And, there's going to be plenty more matches, until we get to a certain point. Then they obviously starts to slow down. There's definitely days in between them. So, I'm excited as I always am for this. I'm definitely, my nerves are definitely,
nerves are up there now.
Yep. Now, my daughter keeps asking, what happens if, they win? What happens if they lose? And I'm like, you win, you move on, you lose, it's over. Right. And so that's that's what knockout stage of a tournament is, and that's what you fight for. There's different phases to these tournaments. Get out of the group, win your group, and now they're at the knockout stage of this group. And so, yeah, let's go. Let's go and do what we've been doing. For the first 2 matches of the group stage on Wednesday.
Let's do it. But great way to end it. So let's just end it there. We'll wrap up. That is Thomas. You can follow him on Twitter at USKeeper. You can follow me on Twitter at Soccer4UsPod. Thanks everyone for listening. I'm Bart. I'm out.